What's up, guys? It is monthly wrap-up time. I have 7 movies that I saw this month and I'm going to rank for you, so I'm really looking forward to it. This is the first time that I've ever done this, so anyway, let's get going. What's up, guys? Welcome to the monthly wrap-up for January. Like I said in the intro, this is the first time I've ever done this. The reason I kind of got this idea, and don't worry, I'm not the first person to ever do this. There's tons of YouTube channels that do this. But last year, I started doing like every third of the year, I would do a ranking. I see so many movies throughout the year that I thought, hey, why not just do a full monthly wrap up? Because that way I can include maybe movies that aren't even like, that didn't come out this year. I'll just rank everything that I've watched that I feel like I want to talk about that, is the first time I've seen. Sure, I watched other movies, like say Mask from 1985, because I was in kind of an Eric Stoltz mood. I'm not going to include that on here because I've seen Mask a million times. These are all new movies. Most of them are 2025 movies. There's a couple of 2024 movies on here too. So I got 7 movies for you. I'm not going to include Heart Eyes, even though I've seen that movie and I've reviewed it. But technically that comes out in February, so I'll include that one for February. But yeah, everything else is fair game. So let's get going. Guys, if I could poke my head in here real quick, I forgot 2 movies. That is inexcusable, but this is forever, so I definitely want to include them. So I'll just do this really quick. They're definitely not the best of the movie. They're on the lower side of things, so I think I'll just put both of them right here. But the first one is Back in Action, the return of Cameron Diaz, the one with Jamie Foxx. It feels like it wants to be like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but it's a straight to Netflix movie, and that's all you need to know. It's really horrible, bad. And I'll even come clean here and tell you I didn't finish this movie. I watched about half of it and I shut it. That's what Netflix movies are, and I think maybe Quentin Tarantino was onto something with his recent controversial statements about the state of the movie business. I don't think he's 100% right. I think there are some great cinematic experiences out there, but it is starting to get a little bit enveloped in Netflix and streaming services mediocrity. Okay, and what I mean by that is these movies will be forgotten. You probably have already forgotten about Back in Action. Okay, let me know in the comments. You probably already forgot about it. That's the state we're at right now with some of these streaming service movies. And then the next one that I forgot to mention, I don't know why, is Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. I like this one. This one's actually pretty good. It wouldn't be last place, but I'm just going to put it right here just to have a placeholder. And what I do like about these movies is that the idea of this, the premise of this, and really all of these Pooniverse movies is it begs horror comedy, but it pulls back on the comedy and it takes itself really seriously, and somehow it works. They're not perfect movies, but I think they drive home what horror fans want in movies, and we don't care what the story is. Just give us the ingredients of like that dark, even gallows humor. But also keep it bloody, keep it real, keep it serious, Not that we don't love good horror comedies like Return of the Living Dead, which is freaking an all-time classic, but I think these Pooniverse movies and these fairy tales, I think they kind of serve horror quite well if they are positioned right. So yeah, this was actually pretty damn fun. And the guy who played Peter Pan in this was menacing. So anyway, enjoy the rest of the countdown. Number 7 is Presence, and I want to be upfront about this and be as honest as possible. I'm definitely curious to give this movie another watch because apparently I'm one of like 3 people that didn't really care. Sure, it's more than that, but this movie just did not connect with me, and I really liked the direction of Steven Soderbergh. I saw the ambition there, but it all came down to, I guess, it felt like a thin story and thin characters that I didn't like. I don't know if wrong's the word, but it just did not connect. I think movies are an emotional medium, and I think sometimes our mood can factor in on whether we like a movie or not. So I don't know, and I don't want to say that I was in a bad mood, but I just remember while I was watching the movie, first off, it was marketed as it was like one of the scariest movies you're going to see this year, and it's the opposite of that. It's not even a horror movie, and I think that did kind of throw me off a little bit, to piss me off. So no guarantees. I might still not like this movie at all when I watch it the second time, but I'm definitely curious to give it another watch. Similar to, I think it's called The Watcher, or Watcher. The one with Maika Monroe. That one I didn't really like it the first time I watched it. But then when I had so many people telling me that was a great movie. And so I ended up watching it again, and I loved it so much that I reviewed it, because I didn't review it the first time. So yeah. So Presents, don't be too mean to me. I just didn't really, and I usually like divisive movies, but that one, it just did not connect with me. Okay, number 6, we're gonna go with Wolfman, and I was just kind of in the middle on this one. I know this one got a lot of controversy. There were people that outright hated this movie, and I think a lot of it came down to a couple things. You know, the creature design did not land for a lot of people, and I don't think it's a great creature design either. But I think it fit the story that they were trying to tell. And also, I think people wanted a more of a traditional Wolfman, like he, you know, wolfs out within the first act of the movie, and then maybe we see a couple of wolf outs. But that wasn't what this movie was. It was more like, you know, like Cronenberg's The Fly, stuff like that. And I think that's what connected with me about it. I just was in it for the journey and the relationship between the main character and his daughter, which I really liked as well. Number 5 is The Damned, the first movie I saw this year, and I was highly surprised by how effective this movie was. If you want movies like The Thing and definitely The Fog, I mean, this takes place 100 years before the events of John Carpenter's The Fog, and it's just very similar. And shockingly, I saw so many people comparing this to The Thing and The Right, but I don't think I saw anybody besides myself comparing this to The Fog, which I think it's even more like The Fog than it is The Thing. I mean, the elements of paranoia and all that's definitely there, but the story is just so freaking similar to The Fog. Number 4, I'm going to go with Last Straw. This is a movie that came out in 2024. I believe, and the whole movie takes place in a diner, and this is more like a psychotic horror movie with a nice twist. I think this is another one of those movies like Companion that has an early twist in it. And I think there's a really cool arc here, and a lot of people that didn't like this movie, they didn't like the main character. But I like characters that have a good arc where they might start off like kind of an asshole, and then you end up rooting for them by the end of the movie. And I think the last line of this movie really sends it home in regards to that character. So I actually kind of loved the character because she learned something along the way, right? She wasn't the same exact person. She wasn't great all the way through, and she wasn't horrible all the way through. She started out kind of I don't want to say horrible, but she was just, you know, just had a really bad attitude. She was young, you know, inexperienced. You know, she's going to be a manager. And then by the end of the movie, she's thrust into this horrible situation that she's got to get out of. Okay, number 3, Companion. I just recorded my spoiler review sort of rant video about marketing today about Companion, but the more I think about this movie, the more I absolutely adore it. It has some wonderful themes about relationships, and the cool thing here is it doesn't matter if the relationship involves, you know what, I'm not going to say anything because some of you might not have seen Companion. So I don't want to spoil anything, although I'm sure most of my audience probably knows the spoiler in this movie. I'm not going to give it away in this list because I think there's a lot of you that haven't seen it, and I want you to go in and experience it. Do not watch any trailers for this movie though, okay? But wonderful performances by Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. Although Jack Quaid does kind of play the same character in every movie, but he's so damn good at it. Okay, number 2, Grafted, and this is a movie that I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen. I discovered it on Shudder. One of my Instagram followers actually recommended this one to me, and I was looking for a new movie to watch, and I watched it. Loved it so much I had to review it. It's a body horror movie, and I guess you could call this like a hybrid of like Chinese horror mixed with Kiwi horror, because the beginning of the movie takes place in China, and then the rest of the movie takes place in New Zealand. And it's sort of a Cinderella with the ugly stepsisters. You'll know what I mean when you watch the movie, but it's a character getting this power and not really respecting the power. This would be a really good double feature with The Substance, because both these movies have very similar ideas, very similar themes, but they look quite differently. Like this one actually looks like it could be filmed in like 16 millimeter. I'm not sure if it was, but I loved the more gritty look of this movie. I mean, it kind of looks like an Asian horror movie, and it's partly that. And number 1 is Red Rooms. I saw Red Rooms for the first time in, this month. And I did not get a chance to see it. I heard so much buzz about the movie last year. And then it was my daughter that texted me. He's like, Dad, have you seen Red Rooms yet? And usually when my daughter says, you need to check out something, then I feel like I need to check it out. And my God, if I would have seen this movie last year, it would have been easily in my top 3. It might have been my favorite movie of the year. Is this better than The Substance? They're just so different. But in terms of creating tension without having hardly any violence in the movie whatsoever, it's just the subject matter of the movie that is just so unsettling, so unnerving, and outstanding performances all the way around. Like, this is the most intoxicating and hypnotizing movie I think I've seen in quite a few years, and it will definitely leave a stain on you, and I mean that in the best way. You know, it's just so effective. It's actually a French film, although the movie takes place in Montreal, which there's a good portion of the population in Montreal that they speak French, so makes sense. But, you know, these foreign films, I tell you, they always take it up a notch, right? That's why I love foreign films so much. So yeah, that's my January wrap up. This was a lot of fun. Let me know if you guys like these, and I'm going to keep doing them every month just to try to, you know, keep tabs. I'm still going to do my end of year lists and everything, but yeah, this is a great way to recommend movies, you know, in a quicker fashion, I guess, to you guys that you might not have seen. All right, so yeah. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays, Review for Fridays. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdums out.